Let us take a moment to be together, to come together. What I heard in the song is root down. So allow from your grounding cord at your root level, let it go down into Mother Earth. Let yourself root down and hook in, because there's a place just for you. With permission, Holy Mother, we thank you for composting anything that does not serve. Composting it with your love and your beauty. And what I heard in the chant as we stay rooted down with Mother Gaia is to speak. So let your heart speak out right now as you're rooted into Mother Gaia. Send Gaia love. Send the planet love as you speak from your heart. And we're going to hold in our heart that we can act, as the chant said. To speak, to act, to hold, and to let go. So as we root down, we allow Spirit to use us today, to gather us together in beloved community. So I invite us to take a collective breath right here by first exhaling right where you are. Now breathe in deep, let Gaia breathe you. Breathe in deep and let it out with a sigh. And twice more, breathe in deeply, letting it out with a sigh. One last time together, breathing it in even bigger this time. And with a bigger sigh, let's just let it go. And allow Gaia to simply breathe you. There's nothing you need to do but allow. So that we can hear the word together. So as we bring our attention and our focus right back into this room, we come together in collective consciousness. I moved the podium there so that I could be with you with no obstruction. Greetings, beloved and beloveds. Thank you for having me here. I'm Reverend Sunshine Michelle, and I use she and they pronouns. And my people are from Louisiana. And when I do some lineage checking, I know I'm beyond that as well. But for now, we're going to leave it in Louisiana. And so I honor Reverend Elijah as he is in my pulpit right now, being loved up by the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. They love them some Reverend Elijah Christopher. And thank you for greeting me so warmly. I so appreciate that. And so I bring you blessings and greetings from Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. We're 80 years young this year. We're celebrating. And I'm honored to be here in the 418 project space. Last time I was with you, you were on Felt Street. So I'm having to move with you. Now you're on River Street. And I don't know what the street is called where the Resource Center, is Ocean. The Resource Center for Nonviolence is on Ocean. So next time I come see you, I'm going to see you there. And I bless you on your journey. I am knowing that it is a smooth, uplifting journey that you all are on. What a blessing for that. I want to bring you a practice that we do in our community. This year, we are reading from two readers. How many of you know of 365 Science of Mind? Daily, okay? It's a daily. I'm going to read you a snippet or ask you to affirm it with me, a snippet from that. We're also studying gratitude this year. You talked a lot about gratitude, and so we're reading from Deborah Perdue's book on 365 gratitude. So are you willing to declare? I didn't say just recite. I said, are you willing to declare out loud these affirmations? Yeah. I love the way we started. Oh, with the roar? Oh, I'm on fire here. Okay, if you're willing, here we go. I am full of God. Therefore, I am filled with light. The Spirit of the Almighty goes before me. I am grateful that love burns brightly. Like a candle flame. And cannot be extinguished. Oh, yes. Praise God for that. And so in the spirit of the sacred way that the service was opened, I would like for us to honor that today is the 5-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. We cannot forget horrific acts like these, and so let us take a collective moment of silence. Thank you for that. Blessed be. We have so many things that we're working through in these times. We have to band together. We don't have to. Whoever said it is right. It's a choice. You have a choice, and obviously y'all have chosen, as have I. So we are choosing liberation and freedom and justice and harmony and equality. And what else are we choosing? Solidarity and what else? Joy. Activity, community, peace, love, connection, justice, resilience, empathy, and listening, reconciliation, and I'm sure there's so much more. Are you with me? Yes. Okay, I thought you might be. We are studying from the Centers for Spiritual Living global themes, which both Reverend Elijah and I have served on that committee. So we are well familiar with the visioning process that has brought us the annual theme. I've kind of coined my own visual of our annual theme. And my community knows that when I do this, it means that we're rising higher into infinite possibility. And we're growing deeper into Mother Gaia, as we had hooked in earlier. So rising higher, growing deeper. When I come back, I hope I'll have another invitation. I'm going to do that without saying anything, and that's what I want you to say. Okay? Deal. The theme for this month that has already been mentioned for May is Raise Your Voice. We'll be talking about that today, and we also will be talking about this week's theme, Overcoming Silence, Individual and Collective Liberation. I want to start off with a piece by Valerie Kaur, See No Stranger. She says, violence is a rupture. Violence makes a hole, not just the damage it inflicts on the body of a person, but the pain it causes in the body of a people. The hole swallows up language, memory, and meaning and leaves us in a scarred and stripped landscape. Human beings cannot remain in this silence and survive. And so we have to learn to say what is unsayable. We tell a story about violence, she says, to make sense of it. And the story returns to us the public realm where grieving is possible. The act of naming the violence and grieving loss in community is how the whole turns into a wound that can heal. She goes on. It's a long quote. I have a little more. Are you okay if I continue? It felt like a good one. I didn't want to interrupt it, so I'm bringing you the whole thing. She says, but what happens when we don't have time and space to grieve because the violence is going on? As soon as we find our voice, we are thrown into the hole again. The only choice is to find a way, listen to this, to find a way to speak and grieve, even when our wounds are still open and bleeding. This is how I speak up to you now, she says, and I say too. This is how I speak to you now. Whether we're hurting or in pain or whatever the situation is, we come together just as we are, lifting our voice. To set a little context for overcoming silence, I feel that before we can overcome silence, we have to honor the silence and how it speaks to us. I believe as spiritual beings that the silence is the space that allows us to hear within. We honor that, don't we? In meditation, that's what we're seeking, is to calm the monkey mind. Because the minute we go silent, there's all this chatter and stuff. So in order to be used by Spirit, we have to calm and quiet and honor the silence to hear what it says. And what I've been stuck on, I'm sure you've heard this, what I've been stuck on recently in my community and in my practice is that we need to focus more on being instead of doing, even though the doing is important. Don't get me wrong. I am saying to be in the space that we can hear what it is that Spirit is guiding us to do so that as we get that guidance, then when we go do the thing, we're doing the thing from the being place. Are you with me? It's important. And from the space of deep listening, within the silence can come the catalyst for one to go beyond the silence to find one's voice to speak. And after honoring that silent space within, then we can hear what we need to say. In order to find one's voice, listen to this, and to raise our voice, we must find and have the courage to speak and act. We have to have courage to speak and act, especially the hard stuff. The interpersonal relationship stuff that, gets you all snarled up and you want to say something and you make up your own story instead of talking to the person to validate what is or isn't happening. To speak up to those things that we know are wrong, regardless of what others think or you think they may do. Don't we allow others to guide our actions or inactions because we're concerned about what they think? I believe we must be able to rise above caring what others think about us. In fact, I feel so passionately about it, as was read in my bio. My doctoral work is on authentic self-expression. And in order for me to have learned how to really honor who I am and what I am and how I show up in the world, I had to learn not to care about what other people thought of me. So much so that it became a concept in the work called the IDC factor. That's the I don't care factor. And you know who first I had to work on was me, because I was my biggest critic and my biggest judge, right? But then, for instance, if I had a question or if I had a comment while I was in a group or something, I watched myself stir about it. And have you ever done that where you want to say something, but then you're like, oh no, what are they going to think about me? And, I may be ostracized from the group or excluded, or this might happen or that might happen or the other. So what happens? You don't do it, right? Or I didn't. Let me tell on myself. I noticed that I was allowing myself to be stuck because of that. So much so, and because this authentic self-expression had grabbed me so much, that I wanted to do something about it. So I pushed myself, and the way I pushed myself is to put it into spiritual practice, to take a look at and be honest with myself, and to lean in. That's what I tell my community. If you lean in, Spirit leans in with you. Imagine, how many of you remember the Pillsbury Doughboy? Okay, just think about the Pillsbury Doughboy as a big cloud, right? Can you imagine up in the sky, the Pillsbury Doughboy? And if you lean in or if you poke it, it giggles, right? But it'll open up and lean back in and give you more if you're curious and if you ask. So that's what I did with myself. And I discovered that I had to have what my grandmother called holy boldness. That I had to find my faith and find the courage to do the thing that I was preventing myself from doing. And I got somewhere. Through doing that little thing, I began to feel liberated. Even if people didn't like it. Even if people decided to leave my life or my experience based on what I was saying, which was truth, that nobody else had the courage to say. Have you ever been in a room where someone, maybe it was you, said what we call is the elephant in the room? Everybody sees that big old elephant that's invisible, or maybe it's not invisible, but nobody's going to speak to it. What happens when you find the courage to say something about it? Sure, it makes a difference on how you say it. My experience has been that it opens up the room. Through my own vulnerability, others found their vulnerability, I found. So I keep doing that. This is overcoming silence. This is how I did it. And this is the liberation that it gave me. But each time is different. I recently had quite an experience with a family member, a close family member, that I was petrified, all these decades old that I am, that I couldn't say what I wanted to say to this person that I loved and thought loved me. Anybody had that? So I found my courage and just kept at it. Even the more I did it, the more liberated I felt. Even if it was to the exclusion of the relationship. Listen to me here. To the exclusion of the relationship, that may mean that somebody may choose not to be in your life because you are showing up the way you are showing up as your true, authentic self. Do I love myself enough to do that? Am I putting myself first? This is important. Not only that's why it says individual and collective liberation. It's important for our times. It's important for us how we live our lives, and it's important how we live together. That's why so many people are doing the protests. and are writing and calling and doing whatever they're doing to be able to stand up. But standing up takes a risk. It's that IDC factor, right? I'm going to stand up and tell you this even though you may do that. I'm going to do it anyway. So it's about finding our voice. And I realized that if I didn't, when I've been on this journey, as I was telling you about, with this doctoral thesis, it started with me, right? It started with me. And then I was curious how others did it. That's why I did the project. But what I found is if I heard the voice that I needed to say something or do something, if I didn't do it, guess what happened? It haunted me. If we don't do it, then we're sitting in the inquiry that haunts. That's what it did for me. I don't know about y'all, but it haunts us. So you know how Spirit has a tendency to bring a live example. I had one just last night. I said, okay, Spirit, I really didn't need this example to bring to them about overcoming silence, but I have to tell it. So I went on a 2-day retreat, and I get home yesterday and prepared to go into the garage. See all this commotion at the end of the street? What's going on? Cars lined up? What happened? My driveway is blocked with all these cars that are parallel parked, and somebody's in it, and we're gesturing, we need to go in there. They move aside freely. But here's what we found. Apparently, it felt like a cultural rites of passage. Maybe it was a prom. Maybe it was a something. You had all these young people standing outside on the sidewalks, their cars all lined up. It got worse. As I got in and closed the garage door and got in there, they were loud and louder. They were popping firecrackers. They were walking around in dark suits, dressed. Then I saw, all male-bodied, I saw one young man who had a white tuxedo on. And he was standing, I could see him out of the window. So I surmised, being new in the neighborhood, that was his house. And he was the guest of honor or whatever it was. But I mean to tell you, I lost my mind. And I'm thinking, what can I do? I mean, I'm just carrying on right inside. I'm preparing to come home to relax and to work on my talk for today and all of this. And it's getting worse and worse. So I weighed my options. I could have gone to talk to one of them to inquire what's going on and how long y'all gonna be doing this. But somewhere I chose not to do that. But when I think of the topic, overcoming silence, this is it. This is where we can choose what our action is. I could complain. I could have ill feelings about the whole family over there, that the parents would allow that to happen and that they would do that and whatever. I can choose a different path. We are always faced with that. It did finally settle down, by the way. They left for thank God they didn't come back for the after party. It was, there were no women or girls around, so I looked it up. It's like, what kind of cultural celebration might this be? Anyway, that's a live one. They started blowing their horns even at some point on the cars. Now, that's when I lost my mind. And the firecrackers, can you imagine? Toot, 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 like sitting on the horn. I was like, well, you have lost your mind, and so have I. Anyway. So I'll let that one go. But it was a lesson for me. Are we going to get agitated and distracted or whatever it is? Or are we going to do something about it? Is what we need to decide. What could I have done to raise my vibration of peace in the world? And that's the questions that we have before us. What are we going to do with what's going on? What are we doing? I've been grappling with that. I'm not a protester type. And I feel badly about that. Yeah, I'm noticing. But the reality of it is I don't want to go do that. But a lot of people do. Is anybody here going to the protest? Are you doing protests? We need you to do that. We absolutely do. And I need to find my way as well so that I'm coming from that authentic place. Okay, here's what Mother Maya Angelou said. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Find a place to raise your voice, but first, find your silence within. And so, beloveds, I had some questions here. Okay, so tell me how, I just want you to, call and response. It's like we're in our living room, right? Even though it's a big old theater here. What are some of the things that you do to overcome silence? Just yell it out to me. Protest. Yay. Write letters. What'd you say? Writing. Sing. Sign petitions. Pray. Get on the phone. Talk to neighbors. Vote. Love it. You see? Write letters to the editor. Love that one. Live streamers, hi to you too. I'm sure you have some that you're coming up with. And so this is our inquiry for the day. It's like, what is it that we can do, even if you're not silent, even if you've overcome what might be silence, and I don't want that to be a bad thing. What can we do for our individual and collective liberation? It's on all of us to be able to move the needle. The times that, because this all caused self-reflection for me, it amazed me that there are times I express so extrovertedly that it's fascinating to me that I would ever be afraid to speak up. But I'm admitting to you, even today, there are times when I don't, even though I do raise my hand and put the elephant in the room. So it's all about our own growth and what we can do to overcome it. So I have one other concept two others that I'll bring to you from my doctoral work. Remember, this is on authentic self-expression, which is all about finding your voice, right? So one of them is called the putter process. You know how you putter around? It's not spelled like that, though. I'm just helping you remember it. Putter, P-U-D-R. Peel, uncover, discover, and recover your true authentic self. Saying it again. Peel. You have to shed, right? You have to look at what's underneath there. Uncover. Uncover the truth about who you are and discover it and even recover it, because sometimes it's suppressed. We may have been trained to be suppressed. What's coming to my mind is, you stay over there. You need to be seen and not heard. Anybody know that? So you might have these things that are playing in your head from years ago that you're operating by. You have to peel, uncover, discover to recover your true self in order for you to move. So that's the one. And then here's the other one. I'm just going to say it to you, and then I'm going to bring this to a close. This is another concept. I figure I might as well bring you my own concepts, right? Bring 100. Bring 100. And what that one says is bring 100% of who you are to any situation, even though, listen here, even though you may only have 10% available to bring. You understand what I'm saying? sometimes, especially people who are marginalized and oppressed, labeled as other, we can't come to the table fully because someone has built a table crooked for us. Melissa Harris Perry had this book that had, I can't remember the name of it, but it's called The Crooked Room. And she was talking about how some rooms are built crooked for some people. And so either you have to demolish the room and build a whole new one or something, talk some people into thinking differently, but you bring as much of yourself to the thing as you can and work on creating the circumstance to bring 100%. So these are just some tools that you can use. So overcoming silence often involves taking risks. I've mentioned that. Y'all know that, don't you? Y'all are risk takers, I can tell. I can tell the way you were roaring. Y'all have taken some risks, I know. And, some of them I've spoken to. But regardless of judgment and exclusion and all of those things that might, could, would happen, we do it anyway. Find a way to do it anyway. That's the courage. That's the faith. Find a way to do it. That's how we're going to get through this thing. That's how we're going to do it, I'm convinced. So I understand y'all are going next week to the Pride Parade, right? You're taking your whole service to the Pride Parade, right? I mean, that's speaking up. That's taking a stand. That's making a stand and making a place. That's what we're here to do. That is what we're here to do. We can free ourselves and we can free others. It's hard to free somebody else if you're not going to free yourself, right? I can't know for you. Practitioners and ministers know this. I can't pray for you and know for you what I'm not knowing first for myself. We have to do that. So what is ours to take or make a stand for? What are we willing to speak up and out for? This is what we're looking at. I am going to close with a quick quote, and then we're going to go into prayer. Anybody heard of Mary Oliver? Don't you just love her work? I know you've heard this. She's an American poet and Pulitzer Prize winner, and it goes like this. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks. There's gratitude again, and a silence in which another voice may speak. Let us go into that sacred place of prayer within our hearts, within our spirits, as we remember, we recognize, we know, we declare that there is but one life. There's this one life, and it's so diverse and multifaceted. So many facets to it, but it's one life, just like it's one breath. I am breathing the same breath that a caterpillar breathes. I don't even know how they take the breath, but I'm sure that they do take the breath. Just like a fish breathes through its gills. Spirit knows how to help its species breathe. There is only one power and one presence of the infinite, and we are all reflections of it. This eternal presence is here, it is there, it is everywhere present. It is so magnificent, so filled with grace. All of its actions are miracles in action. And we can behold it in our lives and stand in the awe and the beauty of it as we remember who we are and whose we are. As we allow the knower within us to know the divine truth beyond any sense of racism or any of the isms that may exist, beyond any sense of calamity or terror or fear. We have these beautiful principles in the science of mind philosophy that can help us remember who we are and turn our attention to faith. We can seek and find my Grandmio's holy boldness. We can find the courage in the wind beneath our wings to do that which is ours to do, to hear the divine voice speaking through us, advising us when it is time for us to lift our voice, to not only bear the silence and get what it has for us, but to overcome any sense of silence because of fear and speak our mind, stand full and tall in our sovereign space, knowing the divine truth of who we are. And so I declare on behalf of Centers for Spiritual Living Santa Cruz that this spiritual community is blessed beyond measure, even as it transitions and moves from one place, circumstance into another. It is birthing itself anew. It is finding its voice and speaking into who it is and what it is and how it stands up these 60 plus years in the community. I give thanks for being here as a friend. I was called a friend of this community, as is Reverend Elisha Christopher, a friend of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. We are sister communities, or however we want to term that. We are friendly family communities that love each other and wish each other well, and we bless the entire Centers for Spiritual Living movement across the lands. And so I bless the prayer box that is there, that has any prayer requests in it, I know are already being addressed by the divine, because the need is met as the need happens. And the answer is revealed easily, smoothly, quickly, lovingly, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is, no matter how large or small. I bless the prayers on any and everyone's heart. And I open this prayer. I pause for just a moment for you in the sound of my voice, including when you hear the recording later, if you weren't even here live, or if you're on live stream, or if you're sitting here in the audience at the 418 Project. Simply whisper out loud any names or any prayers that you want to be included in this vortex of prayerful love that I am evoking right now. Just whisper it out loud. Whatever it may be, whoever it is, whatever it is. I know the spirit of love holds each thing that is being uttered, each person, each circumstance, each word being uttered. And it is being swirled around with the magic and the miracle working power of God that addresses all things in right and perfect timing and orchestration. And I give thanks. I give so much gratitude and thanks that there is healing and well-being, that our country is uplifted from the turmoils that we are experiencing, that are calling us to prayer, that are calling us to community, that are calling us to take a stand. I know that we are blessed across this country and across this planet with peace, love, harmony, joy, clarity, grace, well-being, beauty, and anything else. This is what I know for sure. And so I release this word, I let it go, knowing that God's hands are on it, supported by love and law. It is made manifest in the right and perfect way at the right and perfect time. I know all is well, regardless of appearances. We let it be. Together we can declare, and so it is. And anything else you want to say? Somebody might want to say hallelujah. Somebody might want to say amen. Somebody might want to say blessed be. Yes. Whatever else. I bless you all.